Manchester United, remember, cannot finish in the top four. They will be playing in the Europa League next season. Their remaining game at home to Cardiff is irrelevant. Chelsea are almost there. They've gone third, above Spurs, into that 1 point advantage over Mauricio Pochettino's team, but they still have to go to Leicester on the final day. What a huge game Spurs have at their stadium at home to Everton. Arsenal coming up must beat Brighton. That would take it to the last day when they're at Burnley, and of course sandwiched in between those games is the second leg of their Europa League semi-final away in Spain against Valencia.
Effectively meant we're not going to be in the Champions League. It's the season as a whole, particularly when he came in. We were 11 points off the top four, nearly got back to it after the Fulham victory. In Fulham we were in the top four, so for a while you thought we're going to make it, but just not quite. And really this kind of summed it up in many ways today. We made the absolute perfect start with Scott McTominay's shot going underneath Lörsel. Couldn't get the second goal, and he always feared that we'd need a second goal at some point, particularly with Paul Pogba with a fine header against the crossbar. That would have made it 2-0 and just given us a bit of breathing space. But then, from our own corner, and this has happened a couple of times this season, from our own corner, Huddersfield broke out and Benza scored underneath David De Gea for 1-1. After that, really, there were so many opportunities for United. I've just noted down as many as I could. Jones over from close range, Rashford wide from close range. Chong was on an angled drive, well saved, you have to say, by Lörsel. And then when you thought, it's not going to be our day, Paul Pogba with a terrific effort from around the edge of the area, thundered against the crossbar and away. And that was that. United couldn't find a way past what you have to say is the poorest team in the Premier League. And it means that United couldn't keep the season going until the last game against Cardiff. Confirmation that United will not be in the Champions League this season, will not be in the top four, will definitely be in the Europa League. And there is a scenario where United finish 6th and Watford win the FA Cup. It would mean United's season would start, I think, on July the 25th. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen. Real disappointment for Ollie and United, and Ollie just admitting to me there's a heck of a summer ahead, a real rebuilding operation. But United not going to be in the top four. They're going to be in the Europa League. Couldn't get past Huddersfield today. Finished 1-1.
Going to win that ball. It just becomes habit eventually. You know, look at Manchester City at the minute. Look at Liverpool. They work. You know what you're going to get. You know what you're going to get every game. You know they're going to play pretty well, if not brilliantly well. You can never see them thrown in a bad performance. Whereas Manchester United are totally the opposite at the moment. You're watching them expecting to be an average performance and being quite surprised, pleasantly surprised, if it's a decent performance. And that's just habit now. They're not going through the pain barrier to work their socks off, to put in the challenges, to go the hard yards. And consequently, you get poor performances.
They would hold their hands up, surely, and look at themselves and say, it's not been good enough. We're not doing enough. They all have to regroup. They're a huge football club. It's not all doom and gloom. It might feel like that at the moment, but now they can't get as low as what they are at the moment. They have to rebuild, and rebuilding has to start as soon as possible, Michael.
It does. It does. I mean, you look early on in the season, they were hardly running as far as any of their opponents. No high-intensity runs, none of that. So straight away, that flags up a bit of a warning light to me. I can't watch that and think to myself, they're giving everything. I mean, I've given them the benefit of the doubt for a long time. I've always thought, Jose Mourinho's not got the best out of them. Louis van Gaal's not got the best out of them. Before that, David Moyes can't get the best out of them. But they are better players than that. We've seen them in the World Cup. We've seen some of them winning the World Cup. Surely they're better. And then they proved it. Then they went through a period of a dozen games under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer where they proved that they actually were top players again. They looked very good. There was energy about them. And now, as Tim says, they've reverted to type. Now, you can't show that you're capable and then play so badly for so long. Even if they just ran around and tried and put all the effort in, their football ability is natural. I'm not saying that they're as good as Man City or Liverpool. They're not. But how we're talking about a team now that top four is the benchmark is unbelievable. It's just not. It's not good enough. There needs to be a change of a lot of things at the club, including the players, just to get a new set of desire, attitude within the players. Because when I walked into the Old Trafford dressing room, you couldn't help but be dragged along with the attitudes around the Giggs, the Scholes, the Nevilles. They're just zoned in, born winners. Every training session, there was blood and guts and everything left out there. It was almost like a fight every single day. I mean, if you walk in there now, I can guarantee you, are they bothered if they lose a five-a-side in training? I bet you they're not, because then it transcends to the football pitch on a Saturday. It's just not good enough.
Interesting, Michael. The reality check, particularly interesting, where Manchester United actually are now.
Well, I think he said all the right things, really. He knows that they're not good enough at the moment. There needs to be changes. We've mentioned before the game that there's certainly some good young players coming through at the moment. So if they can be blooded through, it sounds like in the last game of the season there's going to be one or two of them starting as well. So it will be interesting what happens over the summer. It's going to be a lot of change, I think, structurally as well. There might be some changes within the club, the talk of sporting directors and things like that at the moment. But there's got to be something, because at the moment it's just floating along with no real direction, that has been for some years.
More Manchester United discussion later on in the show. But so, Manchester United in the Europa League next season. They were 1-0 up, Michael. What about the goal they conceded to Huddersfield? They're only the 10th home goal that the bottom club have scored all season.
Pretty embarrassing, wasn't it? And when United went 1 up, you just thought, how many is it going to be? I mean, McTominay gets up really well there. But you're defending the corner. It's not like everything happened so quickly. The keeper caught it, he took a few steps, and then he lined it up, and then he kicked it. I mean, surely you've got to get yourself organised. Luke Shaw, I mean, hang your head in shame. That is absolutely, I mean, schoolboy defending. I don't know why he doesn't take another step and head it, for starters. He's not in the right position. David De Gea possibly could do more. But this is the best angle. Just take another step and head it. He just stops and then goes with his weaker foot. I mean, it's pretty embarrassing, to be honest. And it sums up Manchester United's day, sums up most of their season.
Comedy of errors, wasn't it? I mean, McTominay gets up well for the header, but as soon as Lerzel gets that ball in his hands, what do you do, Michael? You don't let him kick it. You stand in front of him. Don't let him walk to the edge of the box and then kick it up the field in a 1v1. Luke Shaw has to be organising. De Gea has to be shouting to him to make sure he isn't at 1v1 there. He's left it, it's a foot race, and then he makes a hash of it. And I think De Gea, to be honest, has to do better. Has to do better. It's a good finish, but you have to stop him kicking that ball out. You have to stand in front of him there, stopping him walking to the edge of the box. And it's a decent finish, but for me, I think De Gea's got to do better. And Luke Shaw, Michael's 100% right. That is not good enough. He almost underestimated Huddersfield. Just thought, well, it's going to happen. We'll win the game. We just got to turn up here. You know, everyone comes here and wins. Yeah, they do. But everyone's done their job right. Today, they just turned up and thought, we're Man United, they're Huddersfield, they're relegated, we'll roll them over. Don't happen like that, guys.
From a goalkeeper's point of view, I'm not here to tell a goalkeeper what to do, especially probably the best goalkeeper in the world, or arguably. But I've been in that situation on the opposite side. I know what's not nice about bearing down on goal. And if David De Gea, the one place you've got when a goalkeeper comes out is between the legs or over the top. If they dive early, you can dink it. But if you just stand up as a goalkeeper and shut your legs, make yourself big, it's virtually impossible. You almost bend one of your left leg, let's say, across so nobody can hit it through your legs. If I just sort of stand up like that now, if I go like that and put my arms across like that, I'm telling you, if I'm there is no way I'm scoring. There's no way. And you're still on your feet, so if you try to take them out, you can still move and dive. It's virtually impossible to score. But David De Gea comes out with wide open legs. I mean, it's just inviting, saying, go on, put it through my legs. It's, as I say, he's a top-class goalkeeper, but I just think if you're the world's best, you make it as difficult as possible for an opposing striker. And I don't think he made it difficult.
Manchester United, 8 points in the last 24. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in that pre-match interview used those two words again, hunger and attitude. Are they the areas he really needs to look at when you look at that performance again?
Well, that's what we're talking about. Not one of them Huddersfield players gets anywhere near a Manchester United squad. So it has to be something wrong. And what's wrong is the hunger. What is wrong is the desire and the approach of how they've gone. They've took them too easily today. They just thought they can just turn up. It's not like that. You have to stick to the plan. Ollie would have worked all week on how he wanted them to play. Forward runs, more rotation, be brave on the ball, don't take many risks. You need to defend when it's right. And they didn't do that. I mean, the goal they give away was disgusting. And some of their play, look, this is sloppiness. You know, it's all about playing for themselves. Not about like passing and move to the next area and let someone else come in. All self-indulgent, this is. This is to make them, as individuals, look better. Not as a team. They're just trying to make themselves look better players for themselves. And they're not playing for Manchester United and not playing for the shirt at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to habits as well. You know, you get into good habits, into bad habits in games, and I think if you're constantly, you know, making mistakes, constantly lackadaisical, or on the flip side, if you're constantly always pressing, always putting a shift in, always